Bonjour! I've been sharing restaurant reviews here on Paris Top Tips for over 3 years now. And very often, I get the same question from viewers. How do you actually order in a Parisian restaurant? Because it's not just about what you choose, it's about how you order, in what order, and even when you ask for things. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how to order food and wine like a Parisian, so you can avoid the classic mistakes and enjoy your meal like a local. First thing to understand, in France, a meal follows a very clear structure. Here I'm showing the menu from Chez Rémy, the bistro you can find at Walt Disney Studio Park, soon to be renamed Disney Adventure World. What's great with this menu is that you have the French version and the English translation side by side. And this makes it very easy to understand how a French meal is structured. Because in France, a meal follows a very clear order. A classic Parisian meal goes like this. Starter, called entrée, main course, called plat, then cheese or dessert. Same word, same writing, but a very different pronunciation. A dessert is a dessert in French. And just to make things slightly more confusing, starters can sometimes also be called hors d'oeuvre on menus. And instead of a single section called plat, you'll often find separate sections. Typically, viande for meat dishes, poisson for fish. And finally, there's a common mistake. In French, entrée does not mean main course. It means starter. So if you order just an entrée, thinking it's your main dish, you may end up with something much smaller than expected. And this is exactly why looking at both the French and English versions of a menu can be very helpful. Now let's talk about what locals really order. Most Parisians don't just pick randomly from the menu. Instead, they usually look for a set menu. The menu is almost always better value than ordering à la carte. The menu is sometimes called a formule. And in casual restaurants, they will also be looking for the plat du jour or dish of the day, often written on a chalkboard. Why? Because the plat du jour is usually fresher, made with what the chef bought at the market on the same day, and cheaper, as they make a lot of these just for one day. Also, especially for lunch, a very typical Parisian order would be starter and main, or main and dessert. Rarely all three, except for long, leisurely meals. And one key difference. Parisians don't overcomplicate things. No substitutions, no long lists of modifications. You eat the dish as the chef designed it. If you want to blend in, go for classic French dishes. In a bistro, that could be steak frites, confit de canard, blanquette de veau, or even a simple salad. And here's a very useful tip. This plat du jour written on a chalkboard, that's usually what you want. It's fresh, it's seasonal, and it's the best bargain. Nowadays, in most brasseries, and in many bistros as well, you'll usually find an English version of the menu. And no, that does not mean the restaurant is a tourist trap. But what's written on the chalkboard is very often only in French. So don't hesitate to ask your waiter to translate it. They'll be happy to help. And that will break the ice and show you're interested in the chef's cuisine. Also, even if some dishes sound a bit awkward to you, don't play it too safe. Parisian food culture rewards curiosity. So go ahead and give a try to this tartare or to this pied de cochon. This is where many visitors hesitate, but it's actually very simple. Locals usually keep it straightforward. Rather than a bottle, if they're alone or only two, they will order a carafe of house wine or they'll just ask for a glass. And they will simply say, "What do you recommend with this?" And that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be a wine expert, and the waiter knows better the wines he can serve. Another important point, apart if you dine in a bar à vin, wine is meant to accompany the food, not the reverse. So your most important choice is the food. And even if you prefer a beer to a glass of wine, nobody cares. Two mistakes you should avoid though. Don't ever ask for some ice in your wine. Really, don't. And if you're in a good restaurant, even if you see it on the menu, don't ask for a Coke. At the end of the meal, there's another very French habit. You usually have cheese or dessert, not both. Of course you can have both, but that's more for long gastronomic meals. But if you do want both, then cheese always comes before dessert. And another point, coffee comes after everything, never at the same time as dessert. And unless specifically asked, it will be an espresso. No cappuccino after lunch, no latte with dessert, and definitely no coffee during the meal. Bread is always included, and it's not an appetizer. It's there to accompany your food or to help you mop up the sauce. And yes, Parisians absolutely do that, even in a gastronomic restaurant. Also, you can always ask for butter with your bread, sometimes even salty butter. And just like bread, water is also mandatory and free. If you ask for une carafe d'eau, the restaurant has to provide it. But beware, if you just ask for de l'eau, the waiter might bring you a bottle and you'll have to pay for it. If you want to avoid looking like a tourist, here are a few things to keep in mind. Don't ask for major changes to dishes. That said, if you don't like the accompaniment that comes with your meat or fish, you can sometimes ask if it's possible to change it. Just keep in mind that it's a request, not something automatically expected. Don't expect the waiter to check on you constantly. That's not rude, it's actually the opposite. They are giving you space to enjoy your meal without interrupting you. And they are not being overly attentive just to earn a tip either. Don't rush the meal or expect things to happen quickly. Take your time, enjoy your food, and enjoy the people you're with. And don't expect the bill to arrive on its own. It will come only if you ask for it. Dining in Paris is meant to be smooth, relaxed, and respectful of the cuisine. As we've seen, in France, the bill will never come automatically. That's absolutely intentional. It means the table is yours for as long as you want it. So when, and only when you're ready to leave, just call the waiter and ask, "L'addition, s'il vous plaît." Another important point, in France, service is always included, and so are taxes. So the price you see on the menu is exactly what you will have to pay. Tipping is optional, usually just rounding up or leaving a couple of euros if the service was good. Ordering like a Parisian is not about being complicated. It's actually the opposite. It's about trusting the restaurant, following the natural rhythm of the meal, and keeping things simple. Do that, and not only will you look like a local, you'll almost certainly eat much better too.